Mario Hoops 3-on-3 is an underrated gem from the Nintendo DS, but what if they got a sequel on the Nintendo Switch? With the third Mario sports game making its way onto the console, it's not entirely out of the realm of possibilities for Mario Hoops to make a comeback on the Switch as well. You know the drill by now, it's time to predict the character roster. Both Mario Tennis Aces and Mario Golf Super Rush have a minimalist UI design and the most characters out of their respective series, so I decided to up Hoops' roster from 21 to 30. Now before we get started, I just want to let you guys know that there are, yes, colored outlines for each circle for each character. That determines what attributes they have. So the ones with the green circle means they're all around characters, yellow means technical, red means powerful, blue means speedy, and purple means tricky. So the same attribute system that was used in Mario Sports Mix and Mario Hoops 3-on-3. So that's good to get that out of the way. First, we are going to start with the default characters. So there will be 15 characters that will be unlocked from the start of the game. Those are going to be Mario, Luigi, Yoshi. Those are your three all-around characters that you start with. Then we go to the next row. We have Peach and Daisy as your technical, then Donkey Kong finishing off that second row, and then we have Bowser starting the third row. Our two speedy characters are Bowser Jr. and Diddy Kong, and then after that we go back to Wario, who's a powerful character, and of course Waluigi, who's a technical character, and then we have our first tricky character, Boo, who was an unlockable character from Mario Hoops 3-on-3, did not appear in Sports Mix, but will now be a default character here in Mario Hoops for the Switch. In the final row, we have two characters that will be making their Mario Hoops debut. First is Rosalina, who's a powerful character, and next is Toad. Toad, who was actually playable in Mario Sports Mix, so this isn't technically his debut, but in a standalone Mario basketball game, this would be his first one since he did not appear in the OG Mario Hoops 3-on-3. And lastly, the last default character will be Paratroopa. He was playable and unlockable in Mario Hoops 3-on-3, also did not appear in Mario Sports Mix just like Boo, but in this game, in this scenario, he will be a default character. And guys, that is your 15 characters that you will be started with when you first play this game, and we have 15 more characters to go through. Those are going to be your unlockable characters. Let's go through them right now. So the first unlockable character is Berto. Berto was an unlockable character for Mario Hoops 3-on-3 for the DS. Berto was also a DLC character for Mario Tennis Aces, however did not appear in Mario Golf Super Rush. She is not currently playable in Mario Strikers as I am recording this video because the game has not come out yet, but maybe she will be a DLC character, who knows. But in this game, I predict that Berto will be appearing, and Berto will be an unlockable character. She will be an all-around character. Now up next is a character who will not only be making his debut in a Mario Hoops game, but his overall debut in a Mario Sports game entirely, with the exception of Mario Super Sluggers. Yes, I am talking about Funky Kong. Funky Kong's most recent playable appearances were in Mario Kart Tour and in the new Funky mode in Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze on the Nintendo Switch. But before that, he hasn't been playable since Mario Super Sluggers, so I think Mario Hoops as a team-based game on the Nintendo Switch, it would be perfect to get Funky Kong in here as an unlockable playable character to play with all the other Kongs. And of course, how can I forget the other Kong character who actually was playable in Mario Hoops 3-on-3? Of course, I am talking about Dixie Kong. Dixie Kong, again, playable in Mario Super Sluggers and in Mario Kart Tour, but has not been playable in many of the recent Mario Sports games, and she was an unlockable character, as I said before, in Mario Hoops 3-on-3, so it only makes sense that we bring back Dixie Kong to, again, play basketball with the other Kong characters in this team-based game. Now after Dixie Kong, we have a character that I really wish got more love and attention, but I kind of understand why he doesn't recently. We have Fly Guy. For me, I really like Fly Guy. He just stands out from Shy Guy with a propeller on his head, and he gets to fly around. It just makes the Shy Guy character a little bit more evolved and fun to use. I don't know why. He's such a rare character, but Fly Guy was an unlockable playable character in Mario Hoops 3-on-3, and before that, his only other playable appearance was in Mario Power Tennis on the GameCube. So I think in this Mario Hoops game on the Nintendo Switch, which if you're starting to see the trend, is bringing back every single character that was playable in the OG Mario Hoops 3-on-3, we gotta include Fly Guy because Fly Guy was playable in Mario Hoops 3-on-3. So yes, for all you Fly Guy fans out there, you'll get to play as him one more time in Mario Hoops for the Nintendo Switch. And believe it or not, this is the last Mario character that we will be introducing here in this Mario Hoops Nintendo Switch character roster prediction. This is the one and only Gold Free Runner, or Gold Koopa Free Running, however you want to say his name. Gold Koopa Free Running would be amazing for Mario Hoops 3 and 3, a good partner to Paratroopa. It would be the ultimate max statted out OP meta defining character for Mario Hoops on the Nintendo Switch. Make it happen. Make a character that is just well above and beyond the rest. A Gold Koopa with a backwards hat seems very athletic and sporty. He has the free running experience to prove it, and I think a Gold Koopa free running can be an amazing addition to Mario Hoops on the Nintendo Switch. Show the free runners some love besides Mario Kart Tour, get them in a Mario Sports game, and buff their stats over all the other characters. Let's make it happen. Now, if you remember, Mario Hoops 3 and 3 and Mario Sports Mix were actually developed by Square Enix, which means that they got to introduce their own IPs and characters as playable options, which is why we got to see Final Fantasy characters in Mario Hoops 3 and 3. So I am going to continue this trend and reintroduce some of those Final Fantasy characters for you, and maybe introduce some new ones for you. Let's get started with the 3 Final Fantasy characters that made their debut in the original Final Fantasy on the Famicom: Ninja, White Mage, and Black Mage. Ninja is an all-around character, White Mage will be technical, and Black Mage will be a tricky character. These 3 characters all playable in Mario Hoops 3 and 3, and were playable in Mario Sports Mix as well. Ninja, White Mage, and Black Mage made their debut in the original Final Fantasy. As I mentioned before, you got to pick either one of those character classes from the original game and move along with them. They were fantastic characters, unique additions to the Mario Hoops genre, so it only makes sense if we're bringing back every single character from that original Mario Hoops game, we got to bring back these guys from Final Fantasy 1. Now hear me out. In Mario Hoops 3 and 3, we got 3 characters who debuted from Final Fantasy 1, a character that was debuted in Final Fantasy 3, and a character who debuted in Final Fantasy 6. I feel like if we're expanding the roster for Mario Hoops on the Nintendo Switch, we want to include at least one character who debuted in each of the 6 Final Fantasy games that were on a Nintendo console before Final Fantasy 7 moved to PlayStation. So with this option, I am taking a character who debuted in Final Fantasy 2, and that is the Chocobo. Chocobo, of course, who's getting his own racing game, or got his own racing game already, and is starting to become a little more famous in the Final Fantasy series. Almost the mascot of Final Fantasy, if you would like to say. But I think Chocobo would be a very friendly option for Final Fantasy 2, and would be a great partner character for Koopa and Paratroopa. Just look at them right next to each other. They would make a brilliant team. And of course, y'all know the Final Fantasy 3 rep is Mughal. Mughal debuted in Mario Hoops 3 and 3 and was also playable in Mario Sports Mix. So of course, we have to have Mughal back in Mario Hoops for the Nintendo Switch. This is our Final Fantasy 3 rep. Not much to say about Mughal. I never really used this character too much, but of course, we're bringing back everybody from the roster, so Mughal has to be back, and I'm pretty happy about it. Now, this seems like a pretty controversial choice for my Final Fantasy 4 rep, but I decided to go with Naming Way. Naming Way made his debut in Final Fantasy 4, and of course, with a name like Naming Way, this character lets you change the name of your party members in that game. But however, in the 3D remake, from what I'm reading on the wiki, this character actually can't do that anymore because of voice acting issues, and therefore has an entire story arc built around this character where he finds a character to fall in love with who cheats on him, and then he like explores the world trying to find a new purpose in life. It's a really compelling story, even though I've never played the game, but I just felt Naming Way has a pretty cute design, very small, would fit this Mario Sports genre in a good way, and we needed a rep from Final Fantasy 4, so throw him in there. Now, I spent the longest time trying to find a character to represent Final Fantasy V, and after a long and arduous search with little to no results, I decided to land on the werewolf from Final Fantasy V. It can be just a basic werewolf, though this image is of Kelga, who is supposedly the leader of these werewolves, these humanoid wolf designs. And there's really not much to say about them. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to get my information wrong, but shout out to the fandom wiki from Final Fantasy to give me all this information, to at least so I can try to understand the lore of Final Fantasy V. Maybe we'll throw in the leader in there, maybe we'll throw in, I don't know, Lone Wolf the pickpocket, maybe he'll get a 3D render. Any of the werewolves from Final Fantasy V I think could work. So here we go, they're humanoid, they'd be able to play basketball, right? And the last Final Fantasy character we got here made his debut in Final Fantasy VI, the last Nintendo exclusive Final Fantasy game before they moved on to PlayStation. This is Kakador, who also was playable in Mario Hoops 3-on-3 and Mario Sports Mix, so thank the Lord I didn't have to do any digging onto finding a Final Fantasy VI rep, because we got one already. Kakador, of course, the lovable, speedy character that will continue to make waves. Kakador was always a fun character to play with, and I can't wait to see him playable in Mario Hoops on the Nintendo Switch if it was a real thing. So one of Square Enix's other franchises that they own is the Mana series, and I figured it would be cool to include a character from Secret of Mana into this Mario Hoops game as well, and I decided to pick Popoy. So Popoy is considered a sprite. They are about 3 feet tall according to the wiki, and they carry a bow and a boomerang, so they know how it's like to, you know, be fighting other characters. They have a lot of weapons on them, and I feel like they just have that lovable design that would make them a fun character to use in Mario Hoops for the Nintendo Switch. And of course, I just felt like it was only right to include a Secret of Mana character with all the other Square franchises here. And lastly, you can't forget the man, the myth, the legend from Dragon Quest, the Slime, who made his playable debut in Mario Sports Mix on the Nintendo Wii. But we're going back to Mario Hoops on the Switch now. Yes, Slime can play basketball. Don't ask me how, just play Sports Mix and you'll figure it out yourselves. We got to get a Dragon Quest rep. So we have 3 Square Enix franchises showcased here on the Nintendo Switch for Mario Hoops, and I think this would make a fantastic roster. 20 Mario characters, 10 Square Enix characters, with 8 of those being Final Fantasy. I think we have a fantastic roster here with 30 characters, 31 if you include the me, and going from a character roster starting with 15, unlocking every character to get to 30. Can you guys imagine if this is the final character roster for a potential Mario Hoops game on the Nintendo Switch? I would be over the moon. Now, you guys can sound off to see if I got my Square Enix facts wrong about Final Fantasy or Secret of Mana or any of that sort of stuff, but I really like the roster that we have regardless of the knowledge I have for series outside of Mario. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is a hypothetical roster because, once again, Mario Hoops on the Nintendo Switch is not real yet. Maybe it will be real in about a year or so. Maybe it'll be revealed in this E3. Who knows? But it would be amazing to have a Mario basketball game on the Nintendo Switch. What do you guys think? Subscribe if you're new. Stay all pro. And I'm out of here.